Shots fired near an Anchorage elementary school minutes after the last bell rang. We'll take you to the scene.
He was there 1 minute and I just heard this big, large crack and he was just gone the next.
Friends pull off a harrowing rescue after one of their own falls through the ice at Knik Glacier, learning a hard lesson about safety in the Alaskan outdoors.
For an estimated timeline, I would hope within the next week or two, half a month.
Many commented on a proposed ban of personal watercrafts in Kachemak Bay. Why Fish and Game says those comments are still not public.
You're watching KTUU, Channel 2, Anchorage, Alaska's news source. And now, the 5 o'clock report with Maria Downey.
Good evening. We start tonight off with some breaking news. Reports of shots fired near an Anchorage school. Let's go live to Channel 2's Hank Davis with what we know so far.
Yeah, Kristen, that's right. Right now, I'm at the corner of West 31st Avenue and Wisconsin Street. As you can see, the scene here has kind of dissipated. Traffic, the roads, folks are able to move in and out right now. When we arrived here, there were still a few police officers on the scene, but they've since left. What we do know right now is that at around 3 o'clock, police officers located a man here who had sustained a gunshot wound to his upper body. Since then, we've confirmed that those injuries were not life-threatening. We don't know where that shooting actually took place at, but we do know that the man was located right here at this street corner. And for those that are familiar with the area, there is a school nearby, about a block away. We went by the school earlier to see if it had been impacted at all. We've spoke with officials from ASD who say that the school never went into lockdown. There were actually a group of people playing hockey outside. So it looks like in this area, things are back to normal right now, but the shooting investigation still underway, and we'll continue to work to bring you the latest details. Back to you.
All right, Hank, thank you. Slick, icy streets have been a focus today. Let's now turn it over to Beth Verge, who's checking the conditions out right now. Beth.
Kristen, we are at Old Seward and Tudor right now. Traffic moving pretty well in this area. A lot of people are taking it a little more slowly than usual, which is what's suggested by police and pretty much everyone else. But let's take a look at the conditions from earlier today. Unfortunately, lots of cars, lots of trucks, either over medians or in ditches, whether along the highway or stuck on local streets and those smaller streets around neighborhoods. Now, we do know that we've received a lot of calls from people asking when the municipality is going to plow. So if you want to get information on that, you can go to our website. That's KTU.com. And there you're going to find these maps. These are municipality maps. The state also provides them as well for the streets that the state covers. But for the municipality, there are green sections for the areas that have already been plowed. There are red sections for the areas that are being plowed right now. And then there are unmarked sections which have not yet been started. And we did speak with the municipality earlier today. Street Maintenance and Services says part of the issue is that this snow has just continued to come down throughout the week. They started on the main streets, and then even if they moved to those smaller ones, they had to go back to the main streets to fix those up for people to get through these arterial routes. So I know everyone's wondering what's ahead for the weekend weather-wise. Jackie Purcell has our forecast right now.
Well, we do have another inch or so of snow today. That was earlier in the day. It's still coming down. So it's a snowy Friday evening in the Anchorage, as well as many other South Central communities, getting additional doses of snow as we move through the evening commute. Now, visibility is also reduced where that snow is falling. So commute carefully on this February Friday. That was from our Midtown camera. And our current temperature here is 24 degrees. The winds are up a bit out of the west-southwest at 11 miles per hour. Now, to the Glen Highway, showing a snowy drive in or even outbound tonight. This will impact drivers with limited visibility at times, so use your headlights. Make sure to allow ample room between you and the vehicle ahead of you. Speed limits are optimal conditions, so slower speeds should be observed. Now, as far as the snowfall, it continues to move through the South Central region. We'll see it continue through the evening hours through the Anchorage area with lows to the teens. More on the forecast coming up a little bit later.
All right, see you then, Jackie. Thank you. A trip to Knik Glacier quickly turned into a rescue mission after a man fell through the ice last weekend. Channel 2's Derek Minnemeyer joins us with more.
Well, Kristen, today one of the rescuers, Luke Daniels, is sharing the story of what happened, hoping to promote safety and preparedness in the backcountry. Now, Daniels and his friends had been out to the glacier several times this winter. They didn't think anything of it when they decided to explore a small opening at the foot of the glacier. He says his friend descended down a gradual crevice for about 200 feet, and on his way back, he fell through the ice. Now, in this photo here, Daniels and another rescuer are actually perched just above where their friend fell. Luckily, the man landed on an icy outcropping, saving him from plunging into the frigid water below. Daniels says they spent the next hour and a half rescuing the man.
I just knew I had to get back out of the cave, get as much people as I could together, get a rope, as much rope as I could, and just get back in that cave and pull him out. I wasn't really worried about falling in. I was on autopilot. I had to do one thing.
Now, Daniels says they were able to rescue the man who didn't sustain any injuries in the process. Coming up on the NewsHour, we'll hear from outdoor recreation safety specialists, the Chugach National Forest, on how to stay safe around these glaciers. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Derek. So there's been a lot of focus on the current state of the Alaska Marine Highway System, with just one boat from the entire fleet left in operation. And now it looks like the repairs for the only mainliner in operation will take longer than expected. Right now, the Lituya is the lone AMHS ship operating. It's also the smallest ship in the state's fleet, and it's dedicated to providing shuttle service between Metlakatla and Ketchikan. This morning, the Alaska Marine Highway System provided an update on one of its mainliners, the MV MATANUSKA, which has been stuck in Juneau due to mechanical issues. That was supposed to be a short delay, but now the ship will have to be dry docked in Ketchikan for repairs. Spokesperson Sam Dapsevich says with that, the AMHS is working to bring MV Columbia back online in April to fill the gap left without the MATANUSKA in operation, as there's no clear timeline on when the ship will be back on the water.
The reduction gear that's having the issue is manufactured by Rolls-Royce Kongsberg out of Sweden. The parts that are affected are not just parts that they can go grab off the shelf. They do have to be custom made.
Dapsevich says the AMHS has also put out an RFI regarding private service to help fill gaps, but is still working to establish a list of options and costs for any potential additions to the current schedule. A proposed rule change removing a ban on jet skis in Ketchikan Bay has divided public opinion in Homer and across Alaska. Yet, even though it's been a month since the public comment period ended, people who oppose the change have another question. What happened to all those comments? Channel 2's Grant Robinson explains.
The Department of Fish and Game says it received around 2,000 public comments on the proposed rule change. Ultimately, the authority on whether or not to lift the ban on jet skis sits with the commissioner, but opponents of the change have been pushing to make the comments made publicly available.
Fish and Game continues to play a game saying they're going to be looking at the science, but they've never put out a rationale why they're doing this. They've never put any facts or science on the table. So we want to be able to see what are the arguments out there. Let's have a transparent discussion instead of all this closed door behind the scenes nonsense that they persist in.
Rick Green is the special assistant to the commissioner. He says there are 2 staff people who are working to organize and compile all the comments into one document. He says he hopes to have those together and publish online within the next week or 2. In Anchorage, Grant Robinson, Channel 2 News.
Well, in Anchorage, we see them all the time, and we love it when it happens, the not-so-elusive urban moose. Over the weekend, if you see one, tell Fish and Game about it. The department is conducting the Anchorage Bowl Moose Survey, and they need the public's help to get it done. Biologists say they've done this the past 3 years in an effort to better manage the moose population in the area. When biologists find a moose, they shoot a non-lethal dart that collects a small skin sample. The DNA they collect helps keep track of where they are, how many of them are here, and how they move around.
And we'll be able to start seeing if this one, how related this one is to, say, the moose on the other side of town, to see if there are any obstacles to movement that we're starting to see in town. Because we know there are some things like sections of the Glen Highway are a major obstacle for moose, that they don't move across, so there's not much gene flow on and across that barrier.
So if you see a moose in Anchorage this weekend, there's a few ways to let them know, and we'll have those details on how to report them on our website at KTUU.com. When we come back,
I don't think there's any way you can possibly prepare for this race, truly prepare for it.
The Iron Dog has gone nearly 2,000 miles, and we've got the latest as the race heads south. And here's a look at the closing numbers on Wall Street.
And now, Alaska's #1 news team. This is Channel 2 News.
In less than 24 hours, the Iron Dog will crown a 2020 champion. Channel 2 Sports Director Patrick Enslow has the latest leaderboard, plus how the race is shaping up.
Kristen, the last 500 miles of this year's Iron Dog could be a game changer. There was 6+ feet of snowpack between Ruby and Ophir. Thanks to Maureen Victor for the video. That was first place Team 7, Tyler Ackelstad and Nick Olstad. They were getting ready at the Ruby checkpoint. They are currently making their way to Ophir. Iron Dog Executive Director John Woodbury said crews have been working to break some sort of trail from Ruby to Ophir today and throughout last night. Now here's a look at the leaderboard as of 5 o'clock this evening. Top 4 teams have checked out of Ruby, and it looks like a lot of these teams took a 24-hour layover in Ruby, and according to the rules, they'll still have to take a flexible 6-hour layover at an approved checkpoint between Nome and Puntilla. Now, make sure to stick with us on the News Hour. We'll keep you up to date on this year's race as teams approach Ophir and McGrath. Kristen?
All right, thanks, Patrick. Still ahead on the 5 o'clock report.
Yeah, it's exciting to have reached a point where we're all on board with the changes that are happening.
Changes could soon be coming to Alaska's breweries. Hear how it could impact your next night out.
Friday night snow for South Central Alaska. Anchorage, your roads are thick with ice in spots, so do be careful. I'll have your weekend forecast coming up.
It's called a grand compromise between bars and breweries after 7 years of work. Legislation before the Senate would see big changes to how Alaskans drink. Channel 2's Sean McGuire has a story from Juneau.
Having a drink in a brewery tasting room has been an increasingly popular pastime in Alaska. If passed, a bill would clarify their entertainment options.
Different nonprofits, symphony, public radio, anybody can come in and set up a table, raise money.
Tasting rooms could also stay open till 10 p.m. instead of 8, and they could hold 4 live music concerts a year. But there would be tighter limits on new breweries opening up in the future across Alaska, and the current tasting room drink limits would also not change.
We may have arrived at the perfect mix.
Some bar owners bristle at the idea of brewery serving drinks, believing it cuts into their business.
And now they've over the years they keep chipping away and diluting the value of that license and our investment.
Eric Forst, the owner of Red Dog Saloon, still thinks a compromise should pass, ending a long-running dispute in the industry. Over at Devil's Cub Brewing, excitement that changes could be coming, with widespread support in the industry.
Is supported by public health, public safety, breweries, bars, the whole alcohol industry.
SB 52 is expected to be voted on the Senate floor sometime next week. Reporting from Juneau, I'm Sean McGuire.
Well, Anchorage is seeing another shot of the snow this evening. Jackie has our forecast as we hit the weekend.
Well, let's check it out. It's been some 1.9 inches, but we're probably closer to 2 now since that reading was taken. This is Midtown. We do see that snow coming down. Our current temperature showing 24 degrees. And I'd say be careful, evening commuters, because there's some ruts and some ice that you're going to have to be contending with on those local roads. We're still expecting another inch or so, but we have had some impressive snowfall along the Kenai Peninsula and around Homer. 12 inches reported on East End Road near the Homer area, some 2 to 4 inches, and the Anchorage area, as I said, 1.9. We're all going to see this snow continue into the evening. Here's a look at our highest temperature today at 28, which is our average, 15 for the overnight low. We were a little warmer than that, staying at 22, but we're over 16 inches of snow for the month of February so far. We have colder air associated with high pressure that will slowly be working its way toward the south central area. This cold air has already shown up over sections of northwest Alaska. It's cooling off quite quickly over the southwestern portion of the state as well. And those winds, wow, they can really make those temperatures feel so cold. Winds out of the west-northwest at 22 miles per hour and a temperature of 14 below in Kotzebue gives us a wind chill factor of 41 below this hour. Not even that cold at Utqiagvik or Dead Horse. And the wind chill into the interior, 11 degrees, down to 6 degrees at Coal Bay. Now, for South Central, our ambient air temperatures are into the 20s and 30s. Some of that colder air lurking just off to our west. Iliamna is down to 11 degrees here in this hour. But we're all seeing some snowfall, even sections of Prince William Sound, like Valdez. You could see 1 to 4 inches. Still tonight, Cordova, you could see 1 to 3 inches. This is about 1 to 2 over the Anchorage area, but they're under a winter weather advisory really from Ninilchik south, and that's where they're going to see most of that snow along the Kenai Peninsula, a mix of rain and snow over the Panhandle. This storm system will be moving out. High pressure replaces it. We'll see clearing skies, some sunshine, but the trade-off is some colder temperatures. So your snow is going to stick around. You have a chance to clear it all out. By early next week, a big storm is lurking in the Gulf of Alaska. I think we're going to still stay under the influence of high pressure for most of South Central, even by that time period. Now, South Central, we're going to see some snow here overnight. It'll linger to tomorrow morning, but I think there's going to be some nice sunny breaks coming our way Saturday afternoon. And here's the look at that situation here through this evening. Winter weather advisory. It really goes through Saturday morning from that Ninilchik area south. Some 3 to 6 inches of snow. Daytime high temperatures back into the 20s for our Saturday, but then we drop to the teens by Sunday. We see those overnight low temperatures really start to drop. On Sunday night, East Anchorage could see anywhere from 15 to 20 below overnight lows. Sunshine is coming back on Monday. We'll see a high of 12, but we don't stay cold too long. You can see we're back into the 20s as we head into midweek and through the rest of next week.
All right, thanks, Jackie. Nabisco has had a lot of success with its flavored Oreo releases, but the Supreme Oreo is generating a much pricier buzz. According to Bloomberg, some small sleeves of Supreme Oreos garnered bids of up to $4,000 on eBay this week. The buzz is thanks to streetwear brand Supreme, which is known for limited edition collections that fetch high resale prices. Supreme's Spring-Summer 2020 drop featured not only attire, but also double stuffed Oreos in the brand's signature bright red. It's rumored that the 3 cookie packs retail for $8, but right now you can only get them at Supreme or pay big bucks to someone reselling them online. Still ahead, finding out your ancestry can be fun, but do you really want all of your information floating around? We'll take a look at how you're protected. Where have you come from? What's your ancestry? These are the questions driving more and more people to do ancestry tests through companies such as Ancestry.com, 23andMe, and Family Tree DNA. But have you ever wondered what happens to your DNA if the company that does the testing changes hands? We take a look at the fine print to see how you're protected.
This one's my great-grandfather.
How well do you really know yourself?
Everybody else on my mom's side was mostly German and Irish. Here's some funeral notices that are all in German. Turns out I'm more English. And the one that really, really surprised me, even though it's only 1%, is from Cameroon and the Congo.
Another surprise.
This guy came up as a potential sibling.
These colorful maps and bar charts come with a price.
That's my husband. That's my other son.
You sign away your genetic code to a for-profit company.
It is kind of a Wild West as far as regulation with these kinds of things.
Kathy Roberts with Consumer Reports says the Federal Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act prohibits employers and health insurance companies from discriminating against you based on your genes. That doesn't mean it couldn't happen.
Life insurance companies, long-term care insurance, disability insurance. These insurers can make decisions about your premiums, about your coverage based on genetic information.
Federal law protects our private health information. DNA testing companies aren't bound to that law. They make up their own rules in their privacy agreements. After recent layoffs at both Ancestry.com and 23andMe, some people worry about what will happen to their genetic information if the companies are sold. Could that information be used in ways they didn't agree to?
I think who would want access to it would probably be a lot of healthcare. I think law enforcement is a big one, and I think government.
Most I can do is hold them to their word.
Dan's putting his faith in Ancestry.com.
They assure me that they won't use my DNA for any kind of research or sell it to anybody else for that matter.
That looks kind of silly.
Kathy worries about what the $80 test could cost her family in the future.
And who's that? As a grandmother, I worry about the fact that we've all taken this test and we have, you know, that little guy in there. This could impact him down the road if that data was ever compromised.
Here's a preview of what's coming up on the Nightly News.
Ahead for us tonight, the president tries to minimize new warnings from U.S. intelligence officials that Russia is meddling in this year's campaign, and the new warning about the flu, which is hitting children especially hard this season. It's all ahead on Nightly News.
Mike Ross joins us with a preview of a story coming up tonight on the News Hour.
Kristen, tonight at 6, it's an event that has impacted the entire state for decades. 52 years ago this week, something happened that would change the course of Alaska's future. It was the announcement by Arco and Humboldt Oil that Prudhoe Bay was chock full of black gold. We'll look back at how much oil they thought was in Prudhoe Bay and how much they underestimated it by. That's our Once Upon Alaska segment. Tonight on the News Hour, stay tuned now for NBC Nightly News here on Channel 2.